Hi, and welcome back to the screenshot. My name is Jewel Chinai Damunesa, and we're still ongoing in the debate about patriotism. And now, as you can see, I have a new set of interlocutors. They can introduce themselves.
My name is Breckless Banda, directly affiliated with the Junior Parliament of Zimbabwe, working with the youth around the nation.
My name is Tanisha Moyo.
So welcome, Bradley and Tanisha.
Thank you.
The next set of questions here, the bold statement that I'm going to make is that you can love your country and still dislike your government. Dislike here is not in the sense of hate, but like the policies they make, the direction they take in the country, the policies and even the things that they do, you generally do not like them. So my argument here is that can we truly distinguish between government and country, where we say this is our country which is owned by each and every one of us, the land in which we live and move, and then there's the government, the responsible authority, such that I can love the country that is called Zimbabwe and dislike the government because of their policies?
So mainly under the main theme of patriotism. So what we want to clarify here is, yes, you can hate your government as a whole, but then you can love your country in another instance. What do you mean this whole thing is that critics don't just critique, they come up with real solutions. They evaluate the situation. Number two, what they do, they come up with a strong solution. Number three, they develop towards that solution and come up with with an end product. So what we have within our country, we have many critics, people who hate the country. Because I think you sugarcoated the term like and used the term like. That is sugarcoating in this instance. Because what you're supposed to say is just supposed to be plain and honest. People hate the country. And some people, they hate the government and they love the country. So how do we cut the line now? Is that we see during the 2023 elections, we saw people like they're sitting candidates, young candidates, who actually saw that the system isn't working for them. So what did they do? They went and tried to reform the system from within. And how did they do this? They actually participated within within the elections. And that is evidence of of loving the country as a whole. So that's why I feel like and actually depict the whole idea of loving the country as you just don't have to hate the government. You have to devise a system that is going to propel us forward. What is hate without action? It is something that is very vague and something that is very useless, you see.
A question.
Yeah.
So if I criticize the country without coming up with a solution, I hate the country.
Yeah, that's what
that's your definition of hate.
That's a hate. It's a hate action.
So everyone who comes with a different point of view should come up with a solution as well.
Yeah, that's
Think of it this way. There are some people we've elected and put into power, like we've elected them so that they come up with solutions. That's their job. That's what they get paid for by our taxes.
Yes.
So if they're not coming up with solutions and we criticize them, we hate the country.
So mainly we've figured out that hate mainly comes from the big shots. You see, so when we talk about the big shots, we talk about people who are capacitated enough to change the system. So if they hate the government as a whole and they do not come up with solutions to propel us forward, then it's a very not even playing ground there.
Okay, so just for the record,
yes,
so that everyone knows that this is what you believe. Your definition of hating the country is when you criticize without coming up with a solution. That is hate.
So what I'm trying to say is, so if everyone who screams on Twitter as a patriotic person, then it makes them all heroes in essence. So it means that Zimbabwe has over 1 million heroes, because everyone knows how to scream on Twitter. Everyone knows how to go there and type hate and type all the whole shady stuff about the government. But then the essence of the truth of the matter is no one is coming up with what should be done, because now the elections come up and no one goes to vote.
Okay.
And they'll be
what if I come up with the idea that I think you should fire the Minister of Education?
Okay, so
what if I want you to fire the Vice President? Do I love or hate the country? That's my solution.
Oh,
no, you don't hate the country.
Yeah, you love your country because you're actually coming up.
But I get punished for saying such things. I cannot dare say fire the Vice President.
Okay, so when we elect our government, right, we elect them to become our voices, right? But if we don't say out what we want the government to do, then You're literally doing nothing. The government then becomes biased because they're now doing what they think they know, but what the people don't know, because you're not voicing out your feelings, you're not voicing out what you want. That's I think it's hating your country, because you're more like damaging your country. You are not speaking out what you want. How do you expect the government to be prophetic?
Okay. So there's a point of difference here between the two of you. You criticize and you don't propose a solution, you're a hater. For you, speaking out is enough. You should speak out so that the government hears you. So because the government is not prophetic. That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so now this becomes very interesting, because the truth of the matter is that in both situations, as we've spoken before, you get punished. You speak out, you get punished. You speak out, you even come up with a solution, you get punished. So what we've been trying to get to here is that, what if I love the country that is called Zimbabwe? I love it so much so that I wanted to have a better government.
Okay.
That I wanted to have a new government.
Can I pose a question for you, sir?
Yes, sir.
For example, Jonathan Moyo, the head of propaganda within ZANU-PF in the first regime, or within Mugabe's reign of power. So now Jonathan Moyo goes on Twitter and start typing every propagandist meta, saying, yes, Zimbabwe is like so, under the Second Republic, Zimbabwe is like so. Do we evidence that as love for a country, or is he trying to circle scores?
That's a very interesting question. I don't support, I don't want to say I support anyone, but let's assume, you say Jonathan Moyo, Professor Jonathan Moyo. Let me come up with a name. John Ngube. John Ngube has been in the former administration. He comes now, he sees things that are going wrong with the new administration, and he says something. Is that settling scores or love for the country? I mean, if you can settle scores while you love the country, then why not? If settling scores and calling out the new government will put pressure on it to be better, then why not? It's better than saying nothing, yeah?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I feel like there's a difference between settling scores and loving your country. Yes, he might be saying things that can help the country, but at the end of the day, as it's about helping the country or settling scores.
Okay. It will appear as if I'm defending people who want to settle scores politically. Yes. But the spirit of what we're talking about here is that if I criticize, do I hate the government?
No.
Does criticism mean you hate the government?
No.
It does not, does it?
It does not.
So for example, I talk about how people reportedly have been bussed to rallies, and I think that's not a good thing. People should at least choose to go there in the first place, and poor people do not deserve to have chicken dangled in front of their eyes in exchange of their votes. I'm saying that, do I hate the government? Do I hate the ruling party?
No,
because in your definition, I should come up with a solution.
That's not a form of hate. Actually, yeah, it's not.
But it's a type of hate. Well, what is it?
It's a. How can we clarify it? So let me put it like so. So having a person who speaks out an opinion is not a form of hate. But then having a person who now turns the opinion into propaganda, that's hate.
So at what point does it become propaganda?
At what
point does it become propaganda? Because think about propaganda can be loosely defined as, there's always this claim that there's opposition people, they go and ask for sanctions. Maybe they do, I don't know. But to me it sounds like propaganda if someone says that.
Yeah, it's propaganda.
So if I criticize, and I'm coming up with evidence to say, you know what, I think this is wrong. Or maybe let's make it more contextual. I think the Trabablas interchange costed like $88 million. With
26 million unaccounted
26 million unaccounted for, yeah? Yes. And in that same context, we have people who are crushingly poor in this country who depend on the public health system. The public health system in Harare at Patriotism is all of a sudden being renovated because the president showed up and he saw that things were tough. But people had been saying all along that things are not going well at Patriotism. So if I go right now on Twitter and the site, I think it's problematic that things get fixed if the president sees them. When we've been screaming, as you said all along, do I hate the government?
You don't hate the
government. No, you don't hate the government.
But you do realize that there's the danger of that being interpreted by those in power as undermining the authority of the president and I could spend a number of days behind bars.
So yeah, what we're trying to say is loving your country should come with the right to actually express yourself and in ways that are free and fair, and in ways that are actually built towards a certain cause. So for example, now we see that there are certain people who are directly affiliated with the country's systems and all. They have the love and the zeal to see Zimbabwe progress forward and to see the current situation improving and all. So how do they do this? Other than turning their heads onto the government and saying the government is doing this, government is doing that, I feel like people should have a certain measures or certain words that they use towards addressing certain issues. Because what they're doing is, some people just scream chaos on internet. Some people they talk things, they say things in order to spark online conversations, not in order for them to spark progress or change. So what we need to say is, in essence, what we're trying to achieve is a system where people who say they love their country, who say they are patriotic citizens, have a certain comprehension of solutions that they have, or a certain comprehension of online conversations that they spark, that actually foster progress and don't actually undermine authority or whatever is there. That's what we call for and what we yearn for as a one nation as a whole.
I also believe, right, if you've got an opinion, maybe if you're disagreeing with the government, there's some channels that you can use to get to the decision makers in the system, right? So I feel like if you just go on social media and start causing chaos, it won't be productive, because what you're literally doing is just causing chaos instead of fixing the problem. If you want to fix the problem, you can use those channels. Maybe if you want to go on social media, say it in a nicer way, in a productive way, not in a way that will cause chaos, and at the end of the day, we won't see the whole fixing the country. If you love your country, yes, it's okay to criticize your country.
How can you talk about not having medication in the hospital in a nice way? People are dying, people are suffering, people are in pain. How can we talk about the poverty in our country? Like, are you asking us to whitewash poverty in a way that doesn't offend the government? I think the government should be offended if they're not delivering on their promises.
Okay, if I may ask.
Because if the government is not delivering on their promises, they're actually offending us, and we have the right to offend back.
Fine, I've got a question. Right, you got your parent, you're asking maybe for school fees money, an example. You go there with, screaming and everything. Do you think your parent will take you serious? And like when you go to your parent and be like, Daddy, can I have money for this?
But the government is not my daddy. It's not.
But
they're elected, they have a moral responsibility to ensure that my needs are taken care of. They're not my dad. They're not my mother.
Your parents still have the same responsibility to take care of your needs. Meaning the government, in a way, is your parent. Yes.
The government is my parent.
Yes. Because it takes care of your needs.
But they didn't give birth to me. I mean, I'm just saying that to be funny. But what I'm trying to get at here is that, you know what, I usually have problems with the parent-child relationship with the government, because in as much as there's the parent-child relationship, I'm not just a child, but I'm a rights-bearing citizen. I deserve to go to a hospital with medication. I deserve to have clean water in my house. I deserve to have electricity. I deserve to get good quality education. It's my right. It's either, if they cannot, they should move. But you cannot replace your parent and say, get out of the house because you cannot be a father. You see, that's why that analogy doesn't work. But in the interest of time, let's just summarize what we've really been talking about. We've spoken about how you can, in fact, distinguish between the government and the country, in the sense that you can love your country and what is best for your country, while disliking some of the policies that are being made by the government. And we've also tried to fit in the topic of patriotism here, although it gets a little bit complicated, because we get from Bradley here that if you criticize without proposing a solution, you are a hater. And we get from her that, criticism is okay because the government cannot see prophetically what you wanted to do, so you should voice your concerns. But I've already clarified to them that in both cases, it is quite easy to get punished because you could be undermining authority and all that. But what perhaps we should take away and go with is that people should voice their concerns. And according to her, they should do so in a nice way, although I believe there's no nice way to whitewash poverty. And according to him, they should do so coming up with solutions. I think it's a good thing, actually. Young people, or any person for that matter, if you realize that there's a problem in your solution, in your community, don't just complain, but at least come up with a solution so that perhaps we help our country. But lastly, coming up with solution is also the job of the government. That's why we elect them. That's why we put them in power in the first place. So the country becomes better if everyone practices patriotism,
Yes, certainly.
cooperates.
Yeah.
Thank you.